Okay, so yesterday we saw two, three programs, right? Like we saw reversing of a number. I hope you must have practiced it. If anybody has any doubt in this reversing of a number, you can ask me. Then also we saw the different loops, right? And printing of odd even numbers, right? And printing of numbers from 1 to 100, like that. A few programs we saw. Today also we'll be seeing some examples, okay, which we'll be doing with the help of loops. So let's take one problem. What we'll do, yeah. So to check, write a program to check whether entered number is Armstrong number or not. Armstrong number or not. Okay. So user will enter any number, and Armstrong number is from 100 to 999. Okay, only 3-digit number I'm talking about. 3-digit number. So user will enter any number from this range, okay, and then we have to tell whether the number entered is Armstrong number or not. So first of all, we should know what Armstrong number mean. Okay, so Armstrong number is nothing but let's take one example, 153. Okay, 153. So if if a number is there and we can separate all the numbers and we can cube them, and we will going to sum each and every cube, and then if we will get the same number back, then that kind of number is called as Armstrong number. So for example, if I separate it out and I cube each and every number, so for example 1 cube, 5 cube, 3 cube equal to, so this will be 1, this will be 225, 125, sorry, and this will be 27. So the final answer will be 153. So if you are able to find any number which is the cube, I mean, if we'll separate each and every number and we'll cube it and we will sum it, and if we are getting back the same number, then that number is what Armstrong number. So we'll have to write a program for this one. So for writing program for this one, you must know the concept of this one. I mean, how to reverse a number. So if you know this particular concept, how we are separating out each number, then we can easily do this particular problem. Okay. So let me first explain and then we'll write the code. I hope I have started this compiler. Yeah, compiler is there. Okay. So let me first explain what I'll do. I'll write like this. So first I'll take a variable, let's say n, which will in which we'll be inserting the value, right? The number, for example 153. Okay, this number will be storing inside this, and then we'll require this remainder variable, and we will also require one variable where we will going to do the sum, right? So each and every digit we will going to separate it, we will cube it, and then we will sum it. So let's take one sum variable and initialize by 0. This is important. So we have declared this one sum variable, and we will require one more variable. I'll explain. So let's say n copy. Okay, so you can declare any variable. I have declared n copy. So let's start now. I'll ask from the user printf enter any number, scanner. Okay. So till here everything is proper. Now user has entered the number. So what I'll do, before destroying the number, just 1 minute. Okay, so before see what I want to do, I want to separate each and every number. You know that during separation of each and every number, right? What we will do, we will going to reduce the number, right? Every time we will divide by 10. So this number will, first time it will be 153, second time it will be 15, next time it will be 1, right? So because I'm going to write this particular loop. So while n is greater than 0, so here what I'll do, I'll first take the remainder. Remainder is nothing but n mod 10. The first time, if I'm taking the example, n is equal to 1, 5, 3. So first time the remainder will be 3. So once we got 3, we have to do what? Sum is equal to sum plus this remainder into remainder into remainder. The moment we are separating out the digit, we can cube it and we can sum it to the sum. Now first time sum is 0. So 0 plus remainder into remainder into remainder. So that means 27 will be stored inside this. So it will be having 27 value right now. Okay. Now we will do what? We will reduce the number. So n will be equal to n by 10. So this time now n has become what? 15, right? Because we have divided by 10. Then this loop will repeat, and since n is what? N is 15. 15 is still greater than 0. It will go inside and it will find out remainder is equal to n mod 10. So this time it will separate it out 5. And then sum will be what? 27 plus 5 into 5 into 5, right? Then n will be equal to n by 10. Now this time it will be 1. 1 is still greater than 0, and next time remainder will be what? 1 mod 10, that is nothing but 1. Now the sum will be what? The previous sum plus 1 into 1 into 1. So like this I'll be having over here 153. Then now n will be what? N by 10. So 1 by 10, it will become 0. So if it has become 0, then it will break the loop, right? Now after this, what I have to do, how I will check? So in the sum I know there is 153, right? So but I have to check with that number which is entered from the user. The user has entered a number, and where we have stored inside this n. But now you see, after this void loop will get over, what is the value of n? N has become 0, right? So I cannot say like this, if sum is equal to n. Okay, I cannot say like this because now n has become 0. So if I want to check whether this cube of each and every digit plus summation of that is equal to that original number or not, I must save that number, right? I must save that number somewhere. Otherwise, when I'll operate in the while loop, the number will become 0. Then at the end, I won't be able to compare it, right? For that purpose, what I have done, I've created one more variable. If you see here, this is n copy. So before going inside the while loop, I'll simply do what? N copy is equal to n. So I am storing this n value like 153 inside this n copy, so that at the end of the operation we can check and we can tell that the number is Armstrong number or not with the sum. So for that purpose only I'm saving that number, because I'll be modifying this n inside the while loop. Now here I can I can do in this way. If sum is equal to n copy, then printf Armstrong number, Armstrong number, else printf not a Armstrong number, Armstrong number. Okay, that's it. So this is a simple program. Now if you all are doing at the same time, you can just check the output. Otherwise, if you want me to write in the compiler, online compiler, I can write execute and let you know. I mean, you can see the demo right over here. So what all you want, whether I should write in this compiler, or whether all of you have understood and will be able to do. You can comment in the chat box. So if you feel I should write, then I will write. Else we'll go ahead. Okay, Aradhana Gauri saying, okay, so let's do it. Let's do it. So this program is now here. I can write Armstrong number, right? You know that this comment, this is a multi-line comment. Okay, if you want, you can write the single line comment also. How to write single line comment? By double slash, right? You can write the single line comment also. Now here I am writing the code, printf. So before this, what I can write, I can just declare the variable. So int n remainder, okay, and n copy, and one more variable I'll require, that is sum. Now I'll ask from the user printf enter any number. User will read this and we will going to enter the number, and we will going to store inside our n variable. So remember this ampersand n. Okay, now I can check it. I told you that before going inside this while loop, we must save our number. So before going inside that, what I can do, n copy is equal to n. So I have saved my number, right? Now inside this we can manipulate. So remainder is equal to n mod 10, right? Remainder is equal to n mod 10 while n is greater than 0. If I take n as what, 153, right? So here 153 is greater than 153 is what, greater than 0. Yes, it will go inside the loop. In the remainder, first time I'll get what? First time I'll get 153 mod 10. So this is nothing but 3. The moment I got this, I have to do sum is equal to sum plus remainder into remainder into remainder, right? So I got the cube of that 3 and I've stored inside the sum, and then I can do n is equal to n divided by 10, right? And after this, just 1 minute. Yeah. So n is equal to n by 10, and after this, what will happen here? N will get reduced to this time 50. Now 15 is still greater than 0, so it will go in the above loop, right? And it will check whether 15 is greater than 0. Yes, it will go inside, and it will take out the remainder. Okay, it will take out the remainder, then it will do the sum. Now here after this, so once this loop will get over, inside this sum will be having 153, and now I must check that. Okay, so if any other number is there, then it will not be equal to then copy only. I can check over here if sum is equal to n underscore copy printf Armstrong number. Not there. So this is the program. Let me run this. Enter any number. 153. That's not connected or what? 153. Let me run it again. Armstrong number. Yeah, now it came. So 153 Armstrong number. Again, one more time. Let me run. 254. Not an Armstrong number, right? So in this way, you can check it. You can run and you can put any number, and then it will separate it out, and it will do the sum, cube, and then sum. And if that number, which is the sum number, if that number is same as the original number, then you can tell this is an Armstrong number. So I hope this program is clear to all of you. Yes, you can. Yeah, I think I must copy the code also, so that in place of taking the screenshot, if you're taking, you can just simply will have the code also along with you. Okay. Now the next program, let's see. The question is, write a program to check whether the entered number is prime number or not. Okay, so write a program to check whether the entered number is prime number or not. For example, if user will enter, let's say, so first of all, what do you mean by prime number? A prime number is a number which is divisible by itself or 1. Okay, which is divisible by itself or 1. For example, 7. So 7 is a prime number. If you do the factorization, it will be 1 into 7. So this 7 is divisible by either 1 or 7, and Between that, it's not divisible by any other number, right? So this is what a prime number. 7 is what a prime number. Okay. So what we have to do for the prime number, let's say if somebody will enter 7, then we have to find out whether this is a prime number or not. Like this, any big number can also be there, and we will have to determine whether the number is prime or not. So obviously we're going to apply the loop, but to check this, before this 7, what are different numbers like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 6, 7. So one is simple algorithm is what we can start from. See, from 1 we will not going to check, because from 1 any number will be divisible, right? So we will start our loop from 2 and we will check till 6. If it is divisible by any of these number from that 2 to n minus 1, then we can say that this number is not a prime number, right? For example, if we take 4 and if we divide it divisible by 2, so this is not a prime number. So if we are taking 7, we will start from 2. We will first divide by 2, then we will divide by 3, we will divide by 4, 5, 6. And if it is not divisible, and if we have reached to the last number 7, by 7 it will be divisible, right? So we can say that if the number, if we have come up to that number itself, right, and before that it's not divisible by any of the number, then we can say that this number is what a prime number, right? So this is the concept. There are lots of different algorithms also to check. For example, if number is very big, then we can take the square root of that, and then till that number we can divide. So in that way we can just half, we can reduce the checking number list. So there are lots of algorithms are there. This is a simple algorithm which I am explaining you, right? By this way we can just check. But if the number is too long, then the computer will require a lot of time. And many of the encryption algorithms, right, many of the encryption algorithms keys are based on this prime number, because it's difficult for the computer to determine whether the number is prime or not, because it will have to check right along, from starting from the 2 until that number. Even though it will going to apply some other algorithms also, then also it will require a long time. The number is too very high, right? If the number is very big, then it will require a lot of time to just compute that. And if based on that any encryption or decryption algorithm is there, then it's very difficult to crack that particular software. So the prime number plays very important role. Let's perform this. How we're going to do. So what I'll do, void main, right? I'll use the for loop. You can use any loop, right? So here I'll take one variable int n, in which I'll be taking the number from the user. I will require one I variable. Okay, that's it. I'll ask from the user printf enter any number scanf ampersand n. Okay. So why I'm writing in this this one note, because if I want to explain, right, I can explain properly over here. Otherwise in the compiler it's difficult to explain over there, right, writing. So later on after doing this I can just execute over there. So enter any number, and we have stored that number inside n. Now I can apply the loop. So what I'll do, for I equal to 2, okay, I less than n. Why I less than n? Because if the number is, let's say n is equal to 7, I'm starting from 2, then 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, I'll be dividing by these numbers. So obviously by 1 and 7 it will be divisible. So I'll check between all these numbers. So that's why I'm saying I is less than n. Till I is less than n, I plus plus. If n mod I is equal to 0. So if n mod I is equal to 0, right? We can say here break. So remember, I'm using over here a break. A break is a keyword. A break is a keyword which will allow you to break any particular loop. Okay, for example, the moment I'll get any n mod I is equal to 0, that means the number is not a prime number. Then there is no further need to continue your loop and just go on checking whether the number is prime or not. I mean, with the other numbers divisibility, right? The moment you will get n mod I is equal to 0. So simply you can break the loop and you can come out and you can say that the number is Armstrong number. Sorry, the number is prime number or not. So what will happen if I'll break the loop? So this program I can write in two different ways. So this is the first way by which I can write the program. What I did, if the number is no, if the number is not a prime number, so it will never reach to that particular number. So if, for example, if I'll take the 7 number, right? So in n I am having 7 right now. Here also I'm having in n 7. Now I is starting from 2. So whether 2 is less than 7, yes, it will go inside. It will check over here. So whether n mod I, so n is what? 7 mod 2. Whether it's equal to 0, no, right? So it will not break. It will go over here. It will increment. So now I will become 3. Now whether 3 is less than 7, yes, it will go inside. Now it will check whether 7 mod 3 is equal to 0. No, so it will not break. It will go over here. The 3 will now become 4. So I has become 4. It will check whether 4 is less than 7. Yes, it will go here. It will check 7 mod 4 equal to 0. No, I will be incremented by 1. I will become 5. So 5 is less than 7. Yes, it will go inside. It will check now if 7 mod 5 equal to 0. No, it will not break. Then n will be sorry, I will become 6. Now 6 is still less than 7. Yes, it will go over here. It will check whether 7 mod 6 is equal to 0. No, right? It will go over here and now I will become 7. So once I will become 7, 7 will not be less than 7, right? So this condition will become false. This condition will become false, and then this loop will not be executed. So once we will reach over here, and if the number is 7, that means what is the I value over here? After this loop, the I value is what? 7. So whenever a number will be a prime number, it will definitely reach to the end number, that is that number itself. Okay, so remember that thing. This is what to be understood. If a number is really a prime number, so uh, by n minus 1 numbers, it will not be divisible. So this break will never be going to execute it, right? So when the loop will break, the loop will break only when, or the loop will be terminated only when all the numbers checking is done, and when this particular condition has become false, right? Then only the loop will going to terminate. And when this condition will become false, at that time I value will reach to n itself, right? Because here if you see 7 is not less than 7, so I value and the n value both are same. So when the I value will reach to itself, I mean that number itself, then this loop will going to break. And here I can simply do what? I can write, just 1 minute. Here I can write if I is equal to n. That means if I has reached to n, then we can say printf prime number, else printf not a prime number. So this is a program. I hope you all have understood. Everything is based on this for loop only, right? And why I'm using this break statement, because if the number is divisible by any of the number till n minus 1, the moment I got the divisibility, straight away I'll just break the loop, because there is no further point to continue. And then at the end I can just, so here I will not be equal to n, and I can say that the number is not a prime number. But only case when the number is prime number, then I will become n, and then when I will become n, then at the end, after checking, right, I can say that the number is what? A prime number. So whether all of you understood this? Yes. If any doubt is there, you can ask me. No doubt. So let's do this. I'll just simply remove all this. Okay. I'll be requiring n, then I. Okay. So printf any number and scanf n. Now I'll write for loop. Here I'm saying for I is equal to 2, I is less than n, I plus plus. I hope you know why I'm writing I less than n, because I don't want to go to till that number, right? I want that when the I will reach to that number itself, then the loop should terminate. Here I'm doing what? If n mod I is equal to 0, the moment I'll get this, I must break. So remember, break is used for what? For breaking the loop, any loop, whether it's a while loop, do while loop, or for loop. Break is used for breaking the loop. Okay, and why I've used, because the moment I'll determine that the number is divisible by any of the number, right, till n minus 1, then there is no further point to check whether the number is still divisible by any other number, right, till n minus 1. So we can straight away break. There is no need to just do the time pass. So we can save our time. Over here, I also explain you that if it will not go to in this particular break statement, right? So if the number is prime number, then definitely the number will finally reach to that number, right? And then, for example, 7 will not less than be 7, right? At that time, the loop will terminate by itself only. So when the loop will terminate by itself only, then I will have the final value, that is n. I can check over here if I is equal to n, then I can say here printf prime number, right? Else printf not a prime number, right? So this is the program. Let's check it. For example, if I enter 5, it's telling me prime number. Let's run it again. Let's enter 6. Oh, it has not taken. One more time. Let's run it again. 6. Not a prime number. So sometimes this connection is not proper, then it will not show you, okay, because this is an online compiler. Anyway, so we got this. So this is a program. If you have any doubt, what do you mean by uh, what what do you think about two? Okay, a number two. If I'll enter, so anybody can tell. Sir, explain it again. Your friends Nazar is saying explain it again. Okay, I'm explaining only, and one more time I'll explain. Don't worry. Uh, what about number two? Whether number two is prime number or what? All of you can just comment.
Sir, even prime number.
Yes. Yeah. So Trupti is saying prime number. Very good. What about number one? Two is a prime number. So let's check that. Two prime number. Okay. Two is a prime number. What about one? One is odd number. Oh yes, one is odd number. I'm talking about whether it's a prime number or not. Okay, G1 is saying not a prime number. So neither prime number nor composite. So actually one is a co-prime number, I think. You can check that. So because one is also divisible by itself or one only, right? But one is it has been classified in, I think, co-prime number. Then from 2 we check onwards, right? So you can check later. But anyway, our program is ready. So your friends, you want me to explain it again, entire thing? Sir, is it possible to put print statement inside the for loop? Yes, yes, it's possible. Okay, so let me explain again. Yeah, so this is one of the way, okay, one of the way by which I can do the program. Same thing I can do in other way also. But see what happens whenever I explain, then many get confused. But if you want, I can write the other program also, right? Just slight modification, and that can be done by other way also. Uh, so let me explain this once again. See over here what I've done. I've declared n and I, right? So in n, I'll be taking that number, and I'll be using for for loop. And here I'm saying that printf enter any number, scanf. I'm storing that number inside n. So let's say over here I've taken 7. So 7 I've stored inside this n. Then I'm starting the loop from 2, right? Because if I'll start from 1, then every number will be divisible by 1. Okay, so I'm starting from the 2, because from 2 to n minus 1 I'll be checking the condition of divisibility, right? If the number is divisible by any of the number, then that number is not a prime number, because the prime number is what? A number which is divisible by itself or 1, and it should not be divisible by any other number. So I'm starting from 2 and I'll go till n minus 1. If it is divisible by any of the number in between, then immediately I'll say break. So I'll break from the loop, because if the number is divisible by any of the number, then there is no further no need to check further, right? For example, if the number is 4, let's say, if the number is 4, then what will happen? I will start from 2. Now 2 is less than n s. It will go here over here. If n mod I, so 4 mod I, 4 mod 2, it will check over here, 4 mod 2. Now this will become 0, so it will enter over here, it will break. So when it will break, I value is what? 2, and once it will check over here, if I is equal to n, no, 2 is not equal to 4, and it will say not a prime number. Okay, so if it will break in between, then definitely if it will go inside this, then that number is not a prime number. But the only condition when it will reach up to n, when the loop will terminate by itself only, at that time I value will reach to the final value, and then it will terminate, because this condition will become false, right? And then after this particular loop, I have written over here, if I is equal to n, then prime number. So once it will reach to that particular number, we can say that number is prime number. It's not a prime number. So I hope this program is clear to all of you right now. Okay. So let's see some other programs. So like this, there are lots of programs are there. I will be solving few of them. Now so after today's lecture, we'll be meeting in the, I think in the next week, we'll be having 3 lectures and then your exams will be there. So anyway, by then I will be able to solve a lot of questions. And one more concept is remaining, that is the switch case, right? So that also I have to explain. Anyway, so I'm thinking that to explain the next lecture, or the best way I can explain right now also, so that till the next time you can revise it, and then only the problems we can solve the problems. Okay, so best thing, let's do one example of switch case. Let me explain, because we have the time. And why I'm explaining it right now, because like this on the loops, there are so many problems, we can go on solving the problems, but that concept is remaining, that switch case. So let me explain you that first, and then we can go ahead. So let's see what do you mean by switch case. Switch case. Okay. See, uh, if you want to decide multiple things, right? If you want to make the decision, multiple decisions, then you can use switch case also, right? For example, if you saw that particular program where we use the ladder case, FLSIF, right? FLSIF. So there we have multiple decision statement. The same way, if you have the multiple decision statement, you can also use the switch case. For example, let's what we can do. Yeah. So let's suppose we want to do arithmetic operation. Let's say arithmetic operation. So depending on plus, minus, multiplication, and division, we're going to perform arithmetic operation. So if what user will enter, based on that, we will going to perform this arithmetic operation. So that means 4 decisions we have to make. Let's do it with the switch case. So I'm writing the program, void main. Now, since the user will going to enter this in the, in the symbols, so I'm taking here char ch. Okay, it's one variable char ch. So I'll be storing this inside this particular variable, and I'll take 2 numbers also, int a and b, right? Int a and b, because for performing the arithmetic operation, I'll be requiring 2 numbers also. Okay. Now what I'll do, I'll say here printf enter the operation. So user will enter plus, minus. Okay, I can say what is scanf %c. For character, I'll have to use %c and %ch, right? So if the user will enter plus, I'll store inside this ch. If the user will enter minus, I will store inside the minus, the ch as minus. Now I don't know what user has entered, so what I'll do, I'll switch. So I'll write the switch like this, switch ch. Based on this, I'll going to switch on different option. Okay, so the case 1, So the case plus I'll be having, right? So if the user has entered this plus symbol, I'll do what? First of all, I'll ask the user to enter the two numbers. So printf enter two numbers. User will read this and they will going to enter the two numbers, %d, %d, ampersand a, ampersand b, right? And then I'll say here printf sum is equal to %d a plus b. So I'm doing the sum directly over here. I'm displaying also, right? So for plus operator, I have written this code. Similarly, if the user has entered a minus, then the same thing I'll going to repeat. Okay, only thing in place of plus, I'll be saying over here as what? Minus, right? And if user will enter, let's say, the multiplication. So if the case is multiplication, then same thing I'll be doing, writing over here. In place of a minus b, I'll be writing a into b. Okay, and if the case is division, so this case is all small letters. Okay, small letters, case division. So same thing I'll be writing, and in place of plus or minus, I'll be writing here division. And if none of the case is matching, then I can write a default. And here I can printf not a valid operation, right? And this will be my end of the program. But one thing is there, since the program will execute sequentially, suppose user has entered plus sign, so it will going to perform the first case, because it will switch based on what is the value inside this. So inside this plus sign is there, so it will switch on this particular case. It will execute all this set of instructions, but after this what? It will just fall below, and it will execute also minus sign, case minus, case multiplication, case division, and it will also execute the default, right? So to avoid that, because we are not stopping it, and the execution will start sequentially, right? And there is no way to skip all these instructions which are written just below. So in the switch case, right, after writing all every case, we must also write break. So we must break it, otherwise if you not apply the break, it will simply fall below. It will execute all the instructions which are written inside this. So then the program will become wrong, right? Because according to this value, it must go and execute only this particular case, but after execution of this case, it will also execute the minus sign and the multiplication, division, and everything. So after every case, remember, this is very, very important, we must write break after every case. We must write break. Here also break. Only the default, there is no need, because default we are writing at the end. So if you are not writing a break case, then also below there is no instruction to be executed in the switch case. So there is no problem. But if you write the default above, I like at the first position, you can write there also. Then for default also, you will have to provide the break. Okay. So this is a normal program for switch case, and based on the which kind of operators the user will going to enter, I am doing the operation. So what is my exact syntax of switch case? Switch case syntax. So I'll go to switch based on certain value. Okay, mostly this value is integer value. Okay, it must evaluate to integer value. So I'll switch based on some integer value, and then I'll be having the different cases, like case 1. Okay, here I'll be having the statements, and then I must write break. Then case 2, right, I'm having statements, then I must provide a break. So like this, I can write multiple cases, the number of cases you want, and finally you can provide default case, right? Default case, when none of the value will match, it will execute the default case. And I can have the statement here, no need to write the break because default will be at the end. And this is the normal syntax of my switch case. So switch based on certain value, and based on that value you can jump to that particular case and you can just execute. Don't forget to write the break statement at the end of the each cases. Okay, so is there any doubt in this switch case? Anybody has any doubt, please ask me. Switch case. Okay, so let me write that program, one simple program first to demonstrate just, and then we can also write that particular program, operation wala program. Just remove this. Okay. So I'll require just one number, enter any number, scanf number, right? So I'll switch based on, let's say, n. Okay. So I'm switching on the n number. What I want to do in this particular program, if the user will enter 1, let's say if the user will enter 1, then I'll simply say 1. Okay. If the user will enter 2, then I will say 2. Like this, up to 5, I want to just convert a number into words. Okay. So for example, case 1, user has entered 1, then I'll printf, let's say 1. And after printing this, I must write what? Break. If I will not write break, then it will also execute the other statement. Okay, so let me demonstrate in that way first. Okay, I'll not write the break and we'll see what will happen. Case 2. For 2, let's say I'm writing printf 2. Case 3. Let me write this up to 3 only because we are short of time. 3. And the default I'll write, sorry, printf invalid input. So if any number is entered below 1 or less greater than 3, I'll say what? Invalid number. Okay, invalid input. So this is my switch case. That's it. Let me show you this. I'll run. Oh, this semicolon is missing. Okay. Enter any number. So let's say if I'll enter 1, let's say if I enter 3, so it has executed 3, but it's also executed this invalid input. One more time, I'll run this. If I'll enter 1, it will enter inside this 1, but after 1, 2, 3 invalid input, everything it has executed. So I must avoid that, right? If it will enter inside any of the above cases, it will also execute the below cases. There will be a free fall, right? I must avoid execution of the other cases. So I must put over here break. 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 Okay. Now let's execute. Hello. Morning. Mansi, I'm in the lecture. Okay. Just give me 5 minutes. I'll call. Yeah. Okay. Then let's say now if I'll enter 1, so now if you see the output is only 1, right? So there is no free fall, right? I mean, it's not execute, it will not going to execute case 2 and case 3, right? Because we have stopped it. One more time, if we run, let's say if I'll enter 2, it will go to the second case. So I'm saying what? 2. So I hope you have understood the concept of this switch case. Based on the value inside the n, the switch will going to switch on different cases, right? Whatever cases we have written. Clear? So this is a simple switch case statement, and I demonstrated you this one also, right? You all can practice, and then later in the next lecture we can see that, right? And a few more problems are there based on the switch case, and we'll be solving a lot of problems based on the loops also, so don't worry about that, right? Still the pattern printing and everything is also remaining. So but the concept till the second UT I've covered almost all the concept. I have covered only one or two things which are left, that also will cover. Okay, so if you have any doubt you can ask me.
Sir, what is syllabus for